Well, guys, today we are going to be reviewing an awesome video that Ian found, and we're going to be checking it out, and we want you guys to watch it with us. It is a valedictorian speech by a senior, I think it was last year. I think it was last year's speech from a school down in Florida, and this was just amazing, and we thought we'd watch it, and you guys watch it with us, and we'll just check it out. All right, here we go.
I stand before you tonight as the 2019 Valedictorian. This time last year, I found out that I was in the running for this title. It was then that I decided I wanted it. So, I worked hard for it. I sacrificed.
That's pretty gutty.
That is, yeah.
Like to just say, hey, I'm gonna do this.
And then do it too. That is pretty awesome.
Well, I guess he did find out he was in the running for it to begin with. Like,
I mean, still, I think you'd have to apply yourself a little bit more too than what you were doing to begin with to even get valedictorian or like salutatorian. I think that was him thinking, I don't want salutatorian, I'm gonna go for the top dog.
I love that though. I think that's one of my favorite things about teenagers. When you guys decide that you want to do something and you do it, there's nothing more impressive in the world to me than when you guys decide to do something and you go and do it. Like that is huge. At least to me it is.
Yeah. I appreciate it. On behalf of all teenagers, we thank you.
Well, let's see what you can do, huh?
All right.
Sacrificed for it. And yes, I stressed for it. And I got it. And at our senior award ceremony, it felt so good when I heard my name announced with this title. It's so good. For about 15 seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds of my heart racing and my adrenaline pumping. 15 seconds of, yeah, I won! 15 seconds of being at the top of the pile of all my accomplishments. And it felt euphoric. But there must come a 16th second. And on that 16th second, I sat down in my seat, I looked at my silver stole that says valedictorian, and I thought, that's it? What just happened? Why am I not feeling anything else?
Most people that I have found in life, if they are driven and determined people, once they accomplish something, their very next thought is, what's next?
That's fair.
Like, what is the next thing that I'm going to accomplish? What's the next? Like, so my guess is this guy did this, and then on that 16th, 17th, 18th second, after he has this little revelation here, like his next thought was, what am I going to conquer in college? Or whatever university I go to.
Yeah.
Have you ever met any teenagers like that? Like,
I have, yeah.
Like, does it impress you? Does it intimidate you? Does it, like, how does it make you feel?
I mean, I think it's just a certain mindset that some people have that others just like, it's kind of a decision you make, almost. That it's like a certain mindset that you choose to have for a little bit, but after that you can't really help it. So, for me, it makes me a little bit sad that they can't just like sit in it for a little bit, but I also respect them for wanting to go the extra mile. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
go the extra mile to keep going. But I think there does have to be like a pause when you do that. To think like, just, I did this, let me bask in it, we'll come to what's next later.
Yeah, you need to celebrate a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I did notice that about people, and some people are just driven like that. They just keep going no matter what. And it's actually, it's impressive.
It really is.
To be honest, I don't even know what I was expecting. A parade of balloons to drop? Or maybe I was hoping that all of my problems would fade away in comparison to this amazing achievement. But none of that happened, not even in my heart. I felt nothing. I was shocked. This was a huge problem for me, and I needed to figure out why. So here was my thought process. Working hard is good. It is in fact biblical, but it should not be done for the sole purpose of a goal's sake at the expense of relationship with others. Looking back on this year, I realized that the stress of this year for this goal in a 5-minute speech was paid for with the lack of attending to relationships in my life. A lesson learned and self-reflection accomplished.
That's the moment in the speech where he just gut punched everybody in the room.
Oh yeah.
Like how would you like? What did his parents think as soon as they heard that?
Oh man.
Like if he has brothers or sisters or friends in a youth group, like I'm guessing this kid, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I would. I mean, he's in it. Yeah, so I would guess he goes to a youth group.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just, I mean, I felt like he like let the air out of the room.
Oh yeah,
right there a little
yeah.
bit. In a good way.
You could hear like a collective gasp almost from that. That was good. That was a good. All right.
I would like you, my fellow classmates, to do some self-reflecting. I would like you to take a moment to fill in a different thing that you strive for and you focused on. Something that you thought was the end-all, be-all. Perhaps it was sports. Perhaps it was fine arts, academics, getting into a particular school, an unhealthy social life, social media, or video games. Friends, we are about to launch into life, and we haven't messed anything up yet. Now think, instead of academics taking your focus off your important relationships, it was your career you chose over your spouse. Instead of sports, it's money that you pursue at the detriment of your children. Instead of just the Instagram-worthy picture, it's striving to be famous at the expense of time with your friends because now you're too self-involved. I'm well aware that this is kind of a downer speech, but I don't care. Because a lesson learned should be a lesson shared.
Well, he just compared high school problems to adult problems you'll face. That's genius.
That's why this is valedictorian.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if I had learned this at 50 or at the end of my life. Here's the lesson. Have no regrets in the 16th second. Nothing is more important than your healthy relationships. Nothing. Not your goals, not your successes. And here's why. Relationships are where we get to influence, impact, and change people's lives. Your life cannot be meaningful without them. And we are put on this earth by our Creator, and we all have a purpose, to advance God's kingdom that all may be saved. Now, how we all go about that, that's what's different. It's different in what college we choose, who we marry, and what career we choose. It's different in the triumphs and tragedies that come upon us. But in all those things, new relationships are being formed. As you live your life on this earth, there is no greater good than you can do for a person than to love them so much that you point them to Jesus Christ. But first, he should be your first relationship that you cannot neglect. And I want you to know, I have been here at TKA for 14 years, and I love this school, and I love all of you, my classmates. And tonight, I am imploring you, if you have not begun that personal relationship with Jesus Christ, just do it. There is no better way to start something new and close a chapter of your life than with him. If he is your Lord and Savior, then make sure you care for that relationship above all others. And after that, prioritize what is important in your life. And never, never lose focus of your important relationships. So be generous with your time and money, and a lot of relational issues will be resolved. And by the way, it's not too late to mend fractured relationships. Any friends you haven't spoken to in a while because of your pride, parents whom you disrespected, and teachers who you never thanked, just do it. Humble yourself. Start a conversation. Have no regrets in the 16th second. In conclusion, this has been one of the hundreds of life lessons I have learned at the King's Academy, and that has been more valuable than academics. So thank you to all who have taken the time to teach each of us our lessons. And once again, thank you to our parents who have been the main source of our lesson learning.
There it was.
We did it.
Yeah.
You and us. And we love you for your sacrifice to put us at King's and for putting up with our attitudes along the way. Thank you for sticking with us. When we receive our diploma tonight, just know we all have earned it.
That's pretty good.
That was really good, yeah.
That's pretty good. The one thing I enjoyed, two things that I liked. One was the, healing those fractured relationships, and that's so hard to do in high school. It really is, because it's so easy just to write people off and move away and get new friends.
We are part of the cancel culture. Yeah, I do hear what you're saying. That is a big issue, at least in high school.
How many students are in Albemarle?
I think like 3,000, I want to say. It's a good chunk. I don't know. That sounds a little high, but I mean a little high. It's a huge number, but I'm not entirely positive.
Okay, let's shoot for the middle. Let's say it's 2,000.
Okay.
That means realistically you're a sophomore this year.
Mm-hmm.
So in your class, there's at least 500 people.
Oh yeah.
So if you had a falling out with one of your friends, it wouldn't take very much to go find new friends.
Yeah. Especially
if like the new sports season rolled around. So it's so easy to do, and that cancel culture is like such a huge point. But I think what causes us to heal relationships, especially in the church, especially if it happened in youth group or in school, is you got to have a completely different mindset of you got to stop focusing on what is like temporal, what is here, what is now, and you got to look farther beyond that. And I think that's what a lot of people get hung up on is this is what I feel now, this is what's happening now, so this is how I'm going to react now, instead of putting the thoughts to the future and what are my decisions and my attitudes and my words now going to affect in the future.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty good.
That is really good.
The other thing I wanted to say, like when I started watching this, I realized, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, because I saw a clip of this a while ago, I think within the past year, okay? Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's really cool. I never watched the whole thing, but now that I sat down and watched the whole thing with you, the one thing that I realized coming into this is that he was speaking to a Christian school. Mm-hmm. Right? So the one thing I was thinking the whole time I'm watching this, I'm going, my goodness, what would the impact be if he was speaking this to like Monticello High School or Albemarle or CHS? Like, what if this was a speech at a public school? Do you even think they would let that happen? I
don't think they would. I think they might stop him, honestly.
Well, does the valedictorian have to turn in the speech beforehand?
It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not positive.
I think if they did turn in that speech, as soon as they got to the part of like have a relationship with Jesus or our Creator, they would say, no, you can't put that in there. I mean,
yeah,
maybe in some high schools. I couldn't really see that happening in a Charlottesville high school.
I couldn't see that happening at Albemarle, honestly.
But what would happen if it did? What do you think? Like if this year's valedictorian at Albemarle gave that type of speech, and they pointed people to Christ and relationships, what would that mean to you as a Christian in Albemarle High School?
I mean, I would find it really encouraging personally that someone had enough courage to be able to step up and do that. I think that's huge. It would also mean a lot though, because it's kind of hard during this time especially to kind of reach out to your buddies and stuff like that, kind of bring them to youth group and stuff. So that would put me at ease a little bit if they heard that, because I'd know that they at some point had that touch point where God could kind of tickle their heartstrings a little bit, and like really start kind of the first step, and then I could reel them in hook, line, and sinker.
There you go.
To youth
all
group.
Right.
So for me, it would be more about my friends hearing it as well. Like, it would mean a lot to me, but it'd also mean a lot that my friends heard it as well.
What would happen if you took the same, what would happen if every Christian in Albemarle who had a good, solid relationship with Jesus, this kid was like, I was on the list for valedictorian and I decided to go for it. What would it happen if students, I realize the time we're in now, it's difficult, like you said, but what would happen if students took that same attitude, like, I want to be the valedictorian? What if they took the same attitude of, I want to grow as close to Christ as I can, or I want to have such relationships with my non-Christian friends that they are presented with the gospel before they leave high school. And that's one of my relational goals, that I will present them with a clear gospel and try to call them as best as I can to make a choice for Jesus while here, because when I get out of high school, I don't want to leave that regret behind.
I think that the change that we would see in high school, because in my opinion, when teenagers set their mind to something, it's a sort of mindset that's really hard to switch off.
Yeah.
So I think if we saw that, or if we saw people bringing in, people giving them touch points and stuff, the change that we would feel, and I think in our hearts too, not just in our youth group, but our youth group, I think the confidence would grow a little bit. I think the relational development would grow. And honestly, I think that just the mindset of our youth group would kind of expand more towards the reach out aspect. That people would really dive into that.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that we might need just a little nudge. You know what I'm saying?
That's a nudge right there.
There you go.
That challenged me. That's a great nudge. It's all right. Sound good?
Yeah.
Good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Watch that video again if you need to. But that was powerful. A lot of things to take away. And man, guys, God bless you. And God bless your relationship with the Lord. And man, like this kid here, don't be afraid to take a stand in your schools, even if it's online right now. So, anything else, Ian?
You covered it.
Have a great week, guys.
See ya.